The chair reviews, 15th of May. Woo! Hello guys, welcome to the chair reviews. Da, 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 da. This song's really annoying now. Da, 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 chair reviews. It is getting a bit annoying. But here it is, here's the chair reviews. And greetings! I think my glass smells like dishwashers. Lovely. Colouring my wine. It might be the wine actually. It smelled like that last night. Not such a good one. I can't think of anything to say about wine. There's a long pause for you. Hello, welcome to the chair reviews. A lot to get through tonight, so I should get right into it. No mucking about. Oh yeah, no. Just in case somebody's watching, I offended somebody this week. I was a bit horrible to them because I've not been having a good time. This isn't the arena, but just in case they're watching, I'm very sorry. And in case anyone else is watching who was aware of it, I'm still very sorry and feeling quite glum. But I will try to inject some bloody fun and fake good humour for you guys. Let's go into some films. So this week it's like Christmas. 3 cinema trips, 1 love film, and a classic from my attic. We got 5 to get through. 3 cinema trips. Let's start with Monday, where I went to see Spooks, the spy drama from the BBC. So, this is the spin-off from the popular BBC TV series, which I have never ever seen. But I thought I'd go along. I do love the BBC quite a lot, and I thought I'd go along and see if I could just feel some of the love and give it some support. Gives British films some support. And it stars the guy who plays Harry Price, I think. He's in all the episodes. He's an old guy. And it mainly stars him as he kind of gets disgraced slightly and leaves this... Well, that's the beginning of the thing. Something happens to him. He gets a bit disgraced. And then Kit Harington, who is Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, which again I haven't watched so far, but I will do. I've got to do. Yeah. It stars both of those, and Kit Harington's an unwilling former colleague. I assume he was part of the series, but I've read and apparently he wasn't. He's just been introduced for this, so fine. And he is hired by the remaining kind of posh knobs, Jennifer Ellie. And Tim McInerney, who is Sir Percy. Oh, Blackadder! And he is hired to try and find Harry Price. I think that's his name in the show. And try and find out. Oh yeah, there's a nutty American Muslim terrorist on the loose. And it all goes off, and I tell you, there's the film. And I quite enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed this one. So, you get a lot... What you get for this, you get a lot of beautiful shots of London. This is film sponsored by the London Tourist Board. A spy film sponsored by the London Tourist Board. And they do a really good job. London looks amazing. Lots of brilliant aerial shots. There's one really nice one where a plane comes into view and then sort of sidles off. And I really enjoyed... I liked it. Kit Harington is pretty good in his role as a kind of disaffected spy brought back into the fold. The Harry Price guy, he's a kind of means to an end chap, and does well. All the posh knobs do well. Jennifer Ellie do well as these kind of stiff upper lip Brits, or stiff upper lip-ish Brits, and kind of snidey along with it, as you expect. It's for the BBC crowd. It's for people who like Spooks. But, as I said, I'd never ever seen it before, and I thought it was fine. There are double crosses in here and there. Tuppence Middleton's in it. They go to Berlin once. There's a lot of running in this film. That's what the film mainly is. So, the budget obviously isn't that high. And so, instead of multiple pile-ups on the M25, which would look pretty boring as they just hit each other at 15 miles an hour... But instead of that, you get a lot of running. A lot of Kit Harington running around airports, running to places. A couple of little car crashes. But mainly him running. But he runs well. And the camera runs well with him. I thought this was quite nicely directed. Possibly a bit pedestrian. But they're within a certain... they're within a certain budget is the thing. And but I respected it, and I thought they did well with the budget. I thought it was a good yarn. It was a decent yarn. Perhaps not that much unexpected happens. So this is a spy thing with double crosses and da-da-da, and, you know, well, where will it go? Where will it end? But I just enjoyed it for what it is. And the thing is, as well, pacing is very important. And the pace of this, it goes along at a fair old jolt. And it worked for me. I liked it. I enjoyed it. The lack of originality is a slight problem. By the end of it, there's not a lot of profundity here. It's stuff you've seen before. But it's a ripping yarn where if it comes on near you, you know, watch it. It's all right. I'm going to say it's a high jet. It was very nearly a throne, I should say. Very nearly. Because I found it quite exciting as well. But, you know, there is that lack of depth, maybe. But and a slightly TV-ish element. But, yeah, I don't want to overplay those two because it was fine. A high chair. And a high chair is a good thing. You know, it's a very top end of average. And you can feed your baby in it, which you literally can feed your baby in it. It's the baby. It's the baby. The baby now represents the high chair. Here he is. His name is Baby-O. Baby-O get face. Stupid baby. Here he is. Anyway, it's the baby. It's a high chair. It's a high chair for Spooks. It's not bad. But in any way. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on from babyish antics. Let's just get on to something else, which is Big Game. The next film I saw was Big Game. Let's have a sip of wine first. Wine that smells just bad. It smells bad and it isn't very nice. I'm not enjoying the wine. But I'm going to drink it. So, yeah. Big Game. Big Game. Big Game is... Big Game is a film by, let me get his name, sorry, Jalmari Helander. He's the director. And he directed a film called Rare Exports, which I haven't seen, unfortunately, but I've heard is very good. It's called Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. And apparently it's this dark thing about boxing up, like Santas, real-life Santas in the slave trade or something in Finland. It sounds very interesting, and it got good reviews, and unfortunately I just haven't seen it yet. But he's directed this film called Big Game, which again is set in Scandinavia, in Finland, and it stars a little lad, I think, I'm sorry, I haven't written his name down, but it stars Samuel L. Jackson as the President of the United States, and what happens is, he is double-crossed in Air Force One, and when Air Force One begins to crash, he is ejected and lands in Finland, in the middle of the forest, whilst this little boy has been sent on his first hunt. He's 13, it's a coming-of-age thing. And he's going on a hunt in the forest to bring back an animal. And the animal he finds is Samuel L. Jackson as the President of the United States. And what is happening is some baddies, some badass guys are trying to get him. And the reasons are never that well established. There are some hints, some strong hints. But the main guy who's out to get him, he seems like he's meant to be some big game hunter, but he doesn't really sit. And it's unclear what his motives are because he's not pants, but he is a little bit pants. He's not in the pantheon of villains, and nor is the guy who double crosses the president either. He is a bit shit, and these guys are trying to get them. And you're and at no stage are you particularly impressed with the baddies, except, well, I'll branch off. I really liked some of the photography, some of the, I guess it's CGI, of Air Force One in the sky. Well, it is CGI, it's not Air Force One, is it? And it definitely wasn't a model. But it looked really, really fantastic. I thought some of the shots were good, and the plane crash itself, I thought was pretty exciting, and decent stuff. So... yeah, I can't remember where I was before. But anyway, but I liked that about it. Anyway, it's one of the things that I liked, isn't it? So, yeah, and then they so then these guys are trying to collect the president for unknown means, really. Unknown aims. And, yeah. But the little boy finds him, of course. He's found him. We've already got that far. And so what follows is quite a short episode where the boy is helping Samuel L. Jackson to escape these villains, pardon me. And it's quite fun the way he escapes them. The boy's out to prove that he's a man and he can't quite fire a bow properly. It's quite good fun how they escape, and there's a little bond that goes on between the two that's quite nice. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the bond. The problem comes, A, that the baddies aren't particularly impressive. Not very good actors. Apologies to whoever they are, whomever. But B, it's not. This is a 90-minute film, and it really feels like nothing much that happens. They kind of find them, and they escape, and then... Wow, I don't want to spoil it, do I? But yeah, you're obviously probably not too impressed anyway with the film. But yeah, just not that much happens really. But what is happening? There's an enormous bombastic score going on in the background, just going da 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 as they're just walking along sometimes. And I was just going, oh, you should come on, lay off. And yeah, and just not that much happens. There are things that happen, and there are some quite exciting stunts, but it's all quite short-lived, wrapped in the 90-minute thing. And I do like a comedy to be 90 minutes. I think that's about the right time. An action film I do think should be 145. And I definitely missed the 15 minutes. So, okay. Well, that's that done then. But I did enjoy the bond. Samuel L. Jackson, it's always good to watch Samuel L. Jackson. I don't think he comes across as particularly presidential. But there's a really nice scene where he tells a story where he peed his pants doing a speech or something. And there's a little bonding thing going on over the fire. And I liked that. It's an amiable film. It's fine. Oh yeah, there's a backroom stop. There's a kind of committee room, not committee, like a Cobra room with all the chiefs and Jim Broadbent's in it, and all these generals, and they're trying to find the president, and they are particularly bad. Those scenes work. They do not work at all. And nor does Jim Broadbent's character really. He's kind of naff, this CIA guy who knows everything. But he has a good scene towards the end, which is quite good fun. But it was alright, you know. I didn't have a bad time. During the film. You can guess what it is. Can you guess? Everybody, you can feed your baby in it. It's the baby. The baby's back. The baby's back. It's a high chair for motherfucking Big Game. So that's it. That's Big Game. That's the Hunters over. It's a packed show today. So let me just pour a bit more wine. Pour more of my smelly wine that tastes of arse. Oh, that's quite a big one there. Good stuff. And let me have a sip. Cheers. So, do you know what I should have done? I should have just got this. It's lame. It's a bit lame now, but here we are. Here we are. Mad Max, the Mad Max trilogy. I've just seen Mad Max Fury Road. I have just seen it. I walked out of the cinema 4 seconds ago, and here I already am with my teleportation device. But, yeah, so the first two Mad Maxes gladly sit in my pantheon, in my Hall of Fame. They are terrific. I've got a bit of a sneaking preference for the first one, I'll be honest. There's something fresh and nihilistic about it in a way that's not so overt as in the second one, where you are in this petroleum nightmare of punk, steampunk, or nitro glycerin punk. Nitro petroleum punk. And that's what the second one's like, and that's what the third one's like it as well. The third one gets a bit of a bad rap. I watched it, it's probably more than a year ago, but it's actually not bad. And there is a vehicle chase in the third one that's pretty bloody good, actually. Very kinetic. Kinetic's a word I'm going to use for this fourth one as well. So now, it stars Tom Hardy this time. Melvin Gibson, having ruled himself out. Maybe he's too old. Maybe he's too toxic a property after his outbursts. That's funny. Yeah, but it's not him, it's Tom Hardy this time. But it is George Miller directing, and he directed the other 3, and it's his baby. I think this is what he'll go down for. And when he'll not to prison, this is what he'll be remembered for, more than Babe, Pig in the City, or Which is V-Switch, which I bloody like as well. So it's him again, and when I heard he was doing it, I thought, how old's he? He's 70 now. And I thought, is he going to be doing a big action film now? He has. He absolutely has. So it also stars Charlize Theron as a woman who is trying to steal something. That's not a spoiler. She's trying to steal something from this warlord guy. I don't know who he is, but he's kind of a fat, really camp, weird guy from a Duran Duran video, from the Wild Boys video, really. And the warlord, he controls all these war boys, and they are directly from a Wild Boys video. They're all painted white, very strange. The main guy is Nicholas Hoult, who's very good who came from Skins. He's in A Single Man, and what's he really good in? Well, he's in X-Men. He's good. he's a good guy. I really like him. I think he's gonna be a big star. And well, he already is. So, what this is, I don't need to tell you much story really. What this is, Max, Tom Hardy, comes a cropper at the beginning. I don't even need to tell you anything about the story. Let me just tell you about the film. And it is breathless from point one. From point one, there's a little bit of a monologue, and then you are into car crashes, enormous desert chases, cars with spikes, people jumping from car to car, yeah, blowing stuff up. It is relentless. When the first bit of it kind of stopped, it must have been about 40 minutes in. It's a 2-hour film. And it finished it with a very obvious cutaway to say you have just been watching a massive chase scene for pretty much the whole of the opening 40 minutes. And I recognisably just let my breath go. Just went, wow, that is what I just watched. And it was incredible. And then it doesn't let you get your breath back much more. It's just so kinetic. There's so much going on. I've never seen moving stunts quite like this. Never, honestly, to this proficiency, to this scale, to the amount of things that are going on. The vehicles are superbly designed, kind of in a way that makes you think, in a post-apocalyptic future, would people really design that? But there are chassis on top of chassis, great big trucks. A guy playing an electric guitar all the time. There's high camp involved here. This is Flash Gordon time as well. But there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of weirdness. If you don't like the other Mad Maxes, you won't like this. There's no chance you will. It's weird. There are dwarfs and... sorry, not that dwarfs are weird, but they're deliberately kind of looking strange. There are mutants. There are people, yeah, with just odd makeup and they're just odd. Nobody, yeah, it's very post-apocalyptic, you know, it's not a place that you'd want to live at all. But it's astounding, The stunts are astounding. As I say, the motion is just brilliant. Where I think it falls down is perhaps the story. There's a purity to it. It is like A to B and maybe B to C. But there's probably not a lot of expansion. This is another story from Mad Max's world. That's all it is. If you're hoping for more than that, you're not going to get it. But, you know, yeah, and it's yeah, that's one thing where it falls down. There's another thing that the entire film is filmed in this kind of jerk motion stuff, so that everything is even more kinetic than it even needs to be. That you don't just have static shots of me doing this. It is like, and then the face is kind of up to the camera a little bit, and people talking aphorisms and "oh, be born, oh, come again." No, that's not an aphorism, is it? But in kind of odd dialect, little phrases, rather than "oh, hey, what's going on over there?" Well, that wouldn't have really worked in the film. But But yeah. So there's a brevity in the language that, if you're looking for development of the world, then you're not going to find. But also there are scenes that are really tender, scenes that are touching, and they worked well. I found myself enjoying it a lot. I liked this film. I liked it a lot. It was breathtaking. There were moments, and actually, moments is the wrong word. There were massive lengths of time where I could feel that my eyes were wide, where I was going, this is so unexpected. Well, it's just so much. There's so much going on. How well have they done doing this stuff? And for that, I'm going to say it's a two-throner. It's an absolute two-throner. As I say, the story might be lacking, but there are still moments. It's very pure. It's another story. I still prefer the first two. I definitely do. But this is Mad Max 2 times a billion. And it's very good. I think there's more heart in Mad Max 2 when they're defending the thing against Humongous and whatnot. I think there's a lot more heart. There's a lot more genuine human heart, and that is lacking. And to be honest, the Two Thrones, I had to bump that up a little bit because I had to see it in 3D, which I didn't like. I just find it annoying looking through some crap lenses. And also there were two pricks in front of me who weren't into it as much as I was, and they were kind of annoying me and ruining my experience a bit. But, so I bumped it up. I probably would have had it as a very high throne before, but I'm going to bump it up. I think to have that much on show, it would be churlish of me not to say that it's fucking well done. Right, that's it. That's 2 thrones for that. Right, okay, we're going on to Love Film now. And a film I saw last week. I won't spend too long. And that's called A Separation. The film is called A Separation. A Separation. And the reason I wanted to mention it is because it's an Iranian film, and I'm not going to be reviewing many Iranian films, but let's get some art house stuff in there. Hey, let's get some art house in there. It's directed by a guy called Asghar Farhadi. Stars Payman Moadi as the husband and Layla Hatami as the wife. I'm very sorry I had to read those directly off the page, but they don't spring off the tongue. And it's a film about a couple in Iran, in Tehran, who split up at the beginning of the film. And it's how they cope, and it's how that splitting up causes a lot of circumstances that are bloody awful. Namely, an accident where the husband gets blamed and might be sentenced to death. I think death, or certainly a long time in prison, because he pushes her. And this swept the boards at the Oscars. It swept the boards at all the award ceremonies. So this won Best Foreign Language Film in every country. So I'm glad I finally saw it, and it is really, really, really good. Not everybody's going to like this, certainly, but I tell you, there are two things. I'll be brief. There are two things that are good about this. There are three things. There's probably going to be more than three things, aren't there? But the acting is superb. It's absolutely superb. These people, I mean, I don't know if they're even actors, because it's absolutely like you're watching real life. It looks like you just happen to be there in these circumstances. The second thing, the circumstances are dire and handled brilliantly. They're often in this room with a judge, and wow, you look at the court system in Iran, it's a man sitting at a desk saying, you're guilty. Go and get that person. Go and get that person. People are terrified. People are making up lies, and it's a brilliant examination of the human condition about what we do, how we lie, how easily we slip into a lie, and how hard it is to track back out of that lie. There are some fantastic supporters. Everyone in this is fantastic. It's genuinely like you're there. And the other thing that it's genuinely like you're there is, well, no, there are two. God, these numerics are getting out of hand. It feels like you're there in Tehran, and it's such a surprise to see that this is an Iranian film, and it's such a surprise to see the surroundings. Honestly, what are you expecting when you watch a film about the capital of Iran? What do we know about it? We don't see much of it in the West. And it's astounding how normal it is, how normal everything is. How people just filling up at petrol stations, buying sweets, daughters going to school. And it's wonderful to see, and it's reassuring And it makes you realise that, you know, things aren't so bloody bad as we're always led to believe, and that governments are bad, people are nice, or people are people. The other thing that Humdrum is about is just about the... It's about the story, really, and just how I can't barely even say. Just how normal the procedure is, and this bloke's going to go to prison, and he's just in a room with some guy just telling him that he might. And I just think the way the story's handled, the way that it's almost documentary, but not in a po-face way, not in a we're here looking at these people. It just feels like you're spying on real life. It's very, 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 very good. I would recommend it to anyone. Two Thrones, A Separation. I really liked it a lot. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, actually. I wouldn't recommend it to people who don't like art house cinema. But it's a brilliant film. Very, very good. Let's move on. It's the last one. Let's go. Let's go. It's a classic from the attic, and it is. There's no. Recently I've been doing some films that have been perhaps not classics, but it doesn't get much more classic than this, does it? The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. I watched it recently, and there were two things. One, the songs are pretty annoying. I wonder what... This was made in 1939. Very interesting year for many reasons. Well, the main one being that it was the beginning of World War II. And I wonder what audiences thought about it then. If they went in and thought... If kids who were 18 just went in and went, oh, that song's great, Follow the Yellow Brick Road. That's one of the better songs, by the way. But there are good things. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. But there are so many good things in this film. It is none more classic. And as much as some songs annoy you, the performances are very arch. They're very theatrical. But that's the thing. The cut from sepia into colour must have been incredible at the cinema. And it's sepia, not black and white, whatever you read. And the recognition that all the characters are there and that sort of mix of dream and reality is still wonderful. And I tell you what's also wonderful, it's when they get to the Emerald City, I always forget that the wizard is actually an arse, and he sends them out to confront the witch. What a bastard, considering you know in the end, I'm going to do spoilers here because it's the Wizard of Oz, you know in the end that he's just a guy from Earth as well, from our Earth. And he just sends them off to fight a brutal witch. And it's quite scary when they go to the witch. And it's a really good thing. They go to the haunted forest. But what I wanted to talk about was how many films, when I watched it recently, how many influences I'd seen. Labyrinth, obviously. Little girl goes to try and find something. Batman, so it's the lines are used in so many things. Predator 2, Batman, the Joker goes, I'm melting, I'm melting. The Lord of the Rings films, they're waiting to try and get into the witch's castle, and there are all these like guards going marching in, and it's almost identical to going into the Black Gate of Mordor. Really, really fascinating. Anything else? Flash Gordon, yeah, I've said it. Oh, yeah, it's very Flash Gordon-y. Oh, the Flying Monkeys, they all look like the... They look like the Flying Men. But it's been so influential, and it's such good fun to watch. It really is. Yeah, the songs perhaps not so much. I wanted to do it in a double bill with Oz the Great and Powerful, but I haven't yet seen it because I haven't had the time, because I've been at the cinema all the time. But The Wizard of Oz, it's this week's classic. It can be watched again and again and again, and it's lovely, and it does make me cry a little bit when she gets back home and says there's no place like home, because it's nice.